Hi, I'm Alexander Bulatov with InfoWatch. Nikolai Zdobnov has been shown in the program as the speaker. Unfortunately, he won't be able to deliver the presentation himself, so I'm doing it for him. Now, InfoWatch does data leak prevention and information security. So I'm gonna tell you about the problems that security professionals are faced with now. Catch Me If You Can is the name of my presentation. You might remember the movie with Leah, where the protagonist, a fraudster, was very good at faking checks. He's also quite good at actually pretending to be different people. So I'll try to explain kind of similarities we have with FBI employees of 1969, and we'll also talk about the applicability of Dirac's and Schrodinger's methods for finding the perps. And by the way, they shot the movie for a particular reason. There was a guy named Frank Abagnale who actually did exactly that. He faked signatures. After he was released from prison, he started a consultancy business in documentary security. So he famously said that what I did in my young years now has become so much easier. A security professional today is not dealing with a single person. He's actually dealing with regular employees who are actually not fraudsters. They're just regular blokes. They do legal things. They do not want from the outside to steal something, but it is the internal violators that create most of the issues. It could be the security, I'm sorry, it could be a secretary or an engineer or an accountant who will willfully or unknowingly leak information. So security professionals today have a much more difficult task compared to FBI professionals because identifying such violators is much more difficult. These are regular people, as you will see from the cases. They are really regular Joes. Some of them maybe are like you. And very often we do not think we are doing anything wrong. Now let's look at what happens to confidential information. Well, these are the classical cases we identify in pilot projects we hear about from our clients. A classical case, you have a sales database where, say, a young employee wants to actually make a bit of money, and he sells your sales database to a rival, or he takes the database with him as he joins a different company as a head of sales division, for example. A different sort of violation is when an HR employee discloses individual employee information. Whoever sells this information, it could be of use to headhunters, for example. We did have a case like this when an HR actually gave the information away to a headhunting agency which worked for the rivals. Okay, as secretary. Now, for some reason, the secretary copied all the incoming letters to the competitor. So the company actually invested a lot in marketing, what have you, and their competitor didn't, but they still got all the leads. Well, this is a horrible case, actually. It's a defense contractor found this. A matter of industrial espionage, an engineer was selling information. He was a subsidiary of a pretty large holding company, and the parent company was very well protected. They had a great information security perimeter. Everything was fully encrypted, but in the sub, they had nothing. All they had was a free AV. Well, maybe a couple of other InfoSec systems, but this is it. And it was really, really easy for the sub-employee to request the information that the competitor needed. And he then copied it onto a USB stick, and that was it. Banking, financial services, so this is what we also see in leasing companies, where loans are issued to subprime borrowers. In leasing companies, what often happens is that they have the so-called scoring maps that they use in order to check the capacity of a particular borrower, and very often it is the scoring map that gets sold to a competitor because the lawyers used in order to check the capacity and the bona fide nature of a potential borrower actually costs a lot of money. And scoring maps can be a great tool in terms of predicting whether the loan will go bad or not. A particularly surreal case, a system administrator would inform would actually communicate over Skype to his employees that geranium is blooming, and this is how he would actually advertise the arrival of new drugs, I'm assuming. So very often, a perp could be somebody totally unexpected. Well, for example, a girl made a great manicure, and she actually took a photo on top of a confidential document, and then she uploaded it. There was some management accounts, some salary information in that photo. Isn't that an absurd case? Now, we tend to assume that, for example, the clients I found for the company are my clients, so when I leave the company, I can take them with me. In crisis times, we actually see many more cases of data leakage. They are particularly associated with the employees that are already moving over or are contemplating a move to a different company. So things used to be very simple. There were great large channels such as Skype, IM, social networks, email. There are two ways that security professionals use. Now, there was a book called Physicist's Joke, and there was a particular joke there called the Dirac's method about catching a lion in the desert. And this method is very simple. We assume that the lion is a random value, so the easiest thing for us to do is not to catch the lion at all. And this is the method very often used by security professionals. They say, well, we've built our perimeter, we don't care what's happening outside. Well, the Schrödinger method says that there is a probability that's not zero that we will discover something. So you can't do nothing and still discover something. But can you imagine how many data leaks happen when you're not doing anything? And they are happening all over the industry, in all the sectors. You actually need a collection of different methods and tools to fight it. Actually, we advise you against both methods, both the Schrödinger and the Dirac method. Thank you. That's it for me. I'll be happy to take your questions, if any. Well, no questions, so thank you.